All right, so I was talking about equal roots. Yeah, so I was saying when we talk about equal roots, we are simply describing a quadratic equation that has only one root. Yeah, it has only one root, and it means that it only cuts the x-axis at one point. So if, for instance, if the root is a, it means that it cuts the x-axis at the same point, which is a. Yeah, so for that reason, we always say the discriminant is equal to 0 because this part is 0. This part is the one that we call the discriminant. So what happens if this part is 0? Means that you're just going to remain with negative b and the denominator, which is 2a. Yeah, so we'll see how we're going to apply this to solve this question. And then what if the given quadratic equation has imaginary roots? So what does it mean when we talk about imaginary roots? So imaginary roots implies that after solving the quadratic equation, you have a situation where you have the discriminant, which is going to be negative. So when the discriminant is negative, it means that it's less than 0. Yeah, so the square root of any negative number gives you a complex number, which is an imaginary number. This is why we call them imaginary roots. And what that means is that the given quadratic equation does not meet the x-axis at any point. So it can either be like that, or it can be like that, or it can also be like, or it can also be like that or like that, as long as it's not meeting the x-axis. It means that it's the quadratic equation has imaginary roots. Okay, let's see how we can solve this question using these same concepts I've explained. Okay. So let's proceed. All right, so the question is find the value of k for which the equation kx squared plus 8x plus k is equal to 0 has equal roots. So we said when the equation has equal roots, it means that the discriminant is equal to what? 0. And remember, the discriminant is taken from the quadratic formula, which we know to be x is equal to negative b plus or minus the root of b squared minus 4ac everything over 2a. So now the discriminant is just what is inside the roots, the root there. So when we say the discriminant is equal to 0, it means that our b squared minus 4ac is equal to what? 0. So now from this equation, we can identify what our a, b, and c are. So we know that a quadratic formula has the format a, x squared plus b, x plus c is equal to 0. Meaning the coefficient of x squared is what? Is a. The coefficient of x is b. The constant there is the one that we have as our k there. So meaning our value of a is equal to k, and our b is 8, and our c is also what? K. So we just replace these values in this in the discriminant. So our b is 8, so we put 8 there, then you square it. Then we say minus 4a. While there is a there, I'm going to put k. And then while there is a c, I'm also putting k there. And then this is equal to 0. So 8 squared will give us what? 64. Then 4 times k, this will give us 4k squared, and this is going to be equal to 0. So when you take this to the other side of the equal sign, you are going to get 64 being equal to 4k squared. So we can switch this so that we have 4k squared this side being equal to 64. and we divide by 4 on both sides. So our k squared is therefore going to be equal to what? 16. So now we're trying to find the value of k for which this given quadratic equation has equal roots. So we are going to find the square root of both sides. So we have k squared is equal to 16. The square root of this side and the square root of that side will give us what? So this side we have k and this other side we have plus or minus 4 as the solution. So meaning the two values of k are positive 4 and k is equal to negative 4. So when you replace positive 4 or negative 4 in this equation there, so while there's k, if we, for instance, we put 4 while there's k there, you're going to have 4k squared plus 4x squared plus 8x plus 4 is equal to 0. So when you solve this quadratic equation, you discover that the answers that you are going to get to be equal, meaning the given quadratic equation has equal roots. So let's try to prove this. So you can either replace it by negative 4, you can replace k by negative 4 or positive 4. The answers that you get, the resulting equation that you get will have equal roots. Let's see if this equation has equal roots. So when you divide everything by 4, we remain with x squared plus 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. We find the product and the sum. So the product is 1 and the sum is 2. So which two numbers can we multiply to get 1, and when we add them, we're getting 2? The answer is 1 and 1. So we're going to have x squared plus x plus 1 is equal to 0. So factorize x here because it's common. We have x plus 1. Then here, positive 1 is common. We have x plus 1 is equal to 0. Then we can put what is common in brackets this side, and then the remaining part, meaning this part and that part, will also be x plus 1. Then you say this is equal to 0. So we can equate this to 0. So I have x plus 1 is equal to 0. Another x plus 1 is equal to 0. So what this means is that our first value of x is what? When you take this one to the other side of the equal sign, we get negative 1. When you also take this one to the other side of the equal sign, you get what? X is equal to negative 1. So you can see that the answers that we've gotten are equal, meaning this is proving to us that the given or the resulting quadratic equation has equal roots. Okay, so this is how you solve this question. So sometimes they may not tell you that it has equal roots. They can tell you that find the values or the range of values of k for which the quadratic equation has two distinct real roots, or they can tell you that it has imaginary roots. So what you just need to remember is that if they say it has two distinct real roots, the discriminant will be greater than 0. And then if they say it has imaginary roots, it means that the discriminant will be less than 0. That's what it means. Okay. So we quickly move on to the next question.
Like plotting that one now on the graph, how is it going to look like?
Okay, plotting, there's a question I'm sure that is asking us to plot. I'm sure it's the next question. We're going to do it together.
All right.